Good morning. Good morning. It's good to be back on your radio and good to be on the air with this program, Integrity Watch. Integrity Watch is a 1 hour radio program brought to you by the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia. It runs from 11 to 12 noon, and it is the primary radio based communication and information dissemination platform of the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia. It is a key advocacy tool that provides essential information around the state of the fight against corruption, national integrity building efforts, as well as evidence based decision making across all sectors of Liberia. Under CENTAL's National Integrity Building and Anti-Corruption Program, funded by the government employee of Sweden through the Swedish International Development Cooperation Agency, or SIDA, the radio program serves as an engagement, advocacy, and coordination platform that rallies citizens and other stakeholders' support for the fight against corruption and bad governance. As part of this program, established the Advocacy and Legal Advice Center known as ALAC. The ALAC is an independent platform that enables citizens and other stakeholders to report and seek redress to corruption and other integrity-related issues. At ALAC, there are a team of professionals, including lawyers, who are ready and waiting to receive and provide redress to whatever complaint you may file. So we encourage our citizens and residents as well, to report issues about corruption and integrity related to our ALAC via the following means. So we have the email address is alac@cental.org. So it's CEN is ALAC at CENTAL.org.LR. We have the Facebook address is CENTAL ALAC, CENTAL or in uppercase. So we have walk-in services that you can take advantage of. You can walk in and report issues about corruption. Center is located just opposite the John F. Kennedy Medical Center. Just come upstairs and be able to interact with our people who are there, the ALAC team, and they're going to help you out. Be it you need access to information, our team going to help you. You want legal advice, our team's going to help you. If you need whatever thing that you want, that you not understanding, maybe regarding the laws, you visit our team, they are going to help you. So we are just opposite JFK, like I said, just come and be able to report issues about corruption. We also have hotline numbers, or hotline number for ALAC. There are other numbers for LACC. So the hotline number for ALAC, I'm going to announce it later during the course of this program. As part of this effort to fight corruption in Liberia, we have forged partnership with the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission and other integrity institutions. So as part of the partnership with the LACC, and for the matter of fact, for your information as well, yesterday was the signing of an MOU with the LACC. So we signed an MOU with the LACC yesterday for us to jointly fight corruption in Liberia. Like the LACC boss, Councillor Edwin Martin, said yesterday, the fight against corruption, it has to involve every one of us. So that is the reason why civil society organization like CENTAL is partnering with the LACC to jointly fight corruption in Liberia. So yesterday was the signing of the MOU. So as part of the activities and the relationship with the LACC, we've been announcing these numbers for the LACC. So if you have issues about corruption, information or facts about corruption-related issues or corruption and corruption-related issues, we encourage you to also report to the LACC. So the LACC is clothed with the responsibility of investigating and prosecuting cases or issues about corruption in Liberia. So they are also involved. They are also clothed with the responsibility of creating awareness amongst the populace about corruption and how to prevent corruption in our society. So we have the LACC number, the numbers to call the LACC. Again, if you have facts about corruption and corruption related information that you may have, you can call the LACC on the numbers 0555 395 728 395 728, or the short code 4048 to call the LACC. The orange number 08 0776 6050, 0776 6000. That is, you put 6 and you put 0 3 times, and then the last 2 digits 50. So those are the numbers you can call. All of these numbers that I'm calling, they are all toll free. So you can call the LACC and be able to report issues about corruption to the LACC. So we are working concomitantly. We are working concomitantly with the LACC. So if you have information about corruption, if you wish to report to CENTAL, of course, we gather all of the pieces of information and we forward it to the LACC. If you want to report directly to the LACC, you are welcome. So that's the kind of collaboration we have fostered so far with different integrity institutions. So as part of this collaboration also, we are working through the National Integrity Forum. So the National Integrity Forum brings together anti-graft institutions, government and non-government state actors that are into the fight against corruption in Liberia. So all of them come together and they share experiences, and they can be able to work as a force, as a body, to be able to tackle corruption in Liberia. So the NRF is that body of integrity institutions, thanks to the government of Sweden for the support through CENTAL, that was able to revitalize the NRF. And NRF is fully functional, and they are carrying out different activities. There are a lot of activities they've planned, and they were going about with those activities when COVID came, and they subsided a little bit, but they are they are starting over. They were doing all of the groundworks, and you're going to see them in your communities at different intellectual centers. You see all of the different integrity institutions, the head of the different integrity institutions in your communities at the different Atai centers, intellectual centers, and creating awareness about corruption. So that's that about the NIF and the partnership we fostered so far. So the Integrity Watch radio program is very informative, and it has zero tolerance on the use of invectives on this platform. So today is Wednesday, October 6, 2021. In this edition of the program, we'll be playing host to the program manager of CENTAL, Mr. Gerald D. Yeakula. Gerald will be talking about the recently launched State of Corruption report. CENTAL recently launched on the 28th, for the matter of fact, on the 28th of September, a very elaborate occasion in Maban Point, Cape Hotel specifically. The State of Corruption report was launched. So after the launch of the report, we have been publicizing the report. So today we are going to have Gerald Yeakula, who spearheaded the entire process, including the survey, the gathering of the information, the data, processing of the data, validation, and all of the processes that led to the final process of launching the State of Corruption report was spearheaded by Gerald D. Yeakula. So Mr. Yeakula is going to be our guest on the program this morning for us to talk a little bit more about the State of Corruption report. So before we go to our guests, let us go to little things that matter. On the little things that matter, we still want to talk about this issue about group of men who are gathering on the streets every day. This morning again, they were there every morning. There's never a day that those guys are not on the streets. Every morning they are there. They break into people's cars and take away valuables. And in order to be proactive as security actors, I think the best thing to do is to make sure that at least we can have security officers who will be assigned at least one or two on the main streets of Monrovia in the morning. In the morning, these guys are on the street, they can be on the rampage. They can be breaking into people's cars and taking away things and walking away. I think we need to take action. The Liberia National Police needs to take action and take action swiftly. And also, we also need to discourage the sales of stolen items, the sales of stolen phones. The market is booming. The black market on Kerry Street is booming with the sale of stolen items. So there are agents on the field who are jacking people, are snatching away people's items and taking it to these guys on Kerry Street to be sold. And the market is booming. It has been booming for so many years. I think it's time for us to take action. Our people have been victimized. People's valuables have been taken away just within the twinkling of an eye by people who are just parading the streets and just victimizing people. I think action needs to be taken. We need to have security presence on the streets in the morning so that we can, our people can be safe when they are roaming about the street. We hope the LMP, the authority of the Liberia National Police, the authorities are listening so that they can take action. I know they do listen. The next thing we want to talk about is the issue with the Madam Keita. Madam Keita is the Special Project Coordinator in the Office of the President of the Republic of Liberia. She was accused of soliciting kickback from an investor, and that matter was rather forwarded to the President's legal advisor, Councillor Ajibor Bernard, instead of the LACC. So, but shockingly, we got to realize that Councillor Bernard had been out of Liberia even before the president asked him to investigate Madam Keita. So we follow up, and then we told you last week that Smith told us that it was not possible. He didn't see it possible that the councillor would have been away for an investigation to be initiated in his absence. So the investigation will rather resume upon his return. So we could not get information from Smith because he told us that the last week would have been very busy week for them, considering the fact that they were arranging for the president's birthday and all of the different celebrations that were going on. So, but we are looking out to what's happening with that investigation because we are concerned about it. It surrounds the image of the presidency. It surrounds the image of one who's working very closely in the office of our president. So if these things happen and they are swept under the carpet, they are not good signs for any any committed government that is committed to the fight against corruption. So if these things happen and they are investigated, the public will be very eager to understand what the outcome of this investigation will be. If she's exonerated, let it be made known that she has been exonerated so she cannot be sent to the LCC for further investigation or prosecution. Or if she will be held liable, let it be made known to the public so that we can understand that there is somebody who worked or who's working in the office of the president who has been held liable, and the president has taken stand, have forwarded the person to the LCC. I mean, whatever the outcome will be, we are listening to know what that outcome will be, because we are concerned, like I said, it concerns the office of the presidency, the office of the president of the Republic of Liberia. So we are very much concerned about that. There has been allegations about people soliciting kickbacks from investors that most of the time, according to information we've gathered, that discourage investors from returning to Liberia to do investment in Liberia. So we don't want these kinds of things to be happening in our country. So that is the reason why we are concerned and we're asking that the right things are done. Thank you ever so much. Those are issues we wanted to talk about. So, like I said initially, the program you are listening to is called Integrity Watch, and it is a 1 hour radio program brought to you by the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia. It is aired every Wednesday on Truth 96.1 FM and is repeated on Saturday from 6 to 7 p.m. So today we are here in studio. My name is Sam Zota and my colleagues are here with me. Mark Bondao, who's making sure that our visibility goes beyond the studio. Gerald T. Wandi is been ably assisting him as well. So we are here today and we will take a break. When we come back, we go straight and join our guests for our discussion for today. Let's take a break. Brought to you by the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia. It is aired every Wednesday on Truth 96.1 FM and repeated on Saturday from 6 to 7 p.m. So today we have as our guest the program manager of the Center for Transparency and Accountability, Yeakula. And we have come to talk about the State of Corruption report recently launched by CENTAL. So on the 28th of September, the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia, CENTAL, launched a survey report known as the State of Corruption report. In that report, there were a lot of things captured. So today, Gerald has joined us to talk about those things that are captured in the report. Good morning, Mr. Yeakula. Good morning, Mr. Yeakula.
Good morning, Sam. It's a pleasure joining you this morning.
How are you doing?
Well, I'm doing fine. It's been a very hectic 2 weeks, getting prepared for the launch of the State of Corruption report, our first report, by the way. And so, yes, and even after the report launched, there are many things happening. So yes, but thankfully we are doing well. Glory be to God.
Okay, great. So the report was launched, like you said. Yes, it has been launched, and there were a lot of things that went into the process that led to the launch of the report. Let's begin by telling our audience what are they captured in the report.
Yes. So firstly, I think we'll begin by understanding what the report actually is.
Yeah.
The report is called the State of Corruption Report, and one of the reasons why this report was done was to complement reports from our mother organization, Transparency International. As you are aware, Transparency International releases two reports. Usually, the Corruption Perception Index is released every year, and the Global Corruption Barometer is released every 2 to 3 years. And these reports usually come from an international perspective. So for us at CENTAL, we wanted to understand what are the local contexts around corruption in the country. And so it is against this backdrop that we say, well, can we, as an institution based on the ground, go out and get information so that we build knowledge? Because you cannot fight something same without understanding what it is. So fight corruption in Liberia, there has to be a Liberian understanding about corruption. And so to be able to enrich this Liberian understanding about corruption, that's how we went out to gather information about corruption in Liberia, and we had same compiled and published last week. And so this state of corruption report is a combination of both a quantitative approach, which is survey. We went in the field and interviewed about 601 persons in 7 counties, namely Montserrat, Grand Bassa, Riverses, Bong, Nemba, Bomi, and Bakolo. And we were able to reach out to these 601 people and ask them different questions about corruption, whether corruption is high in the country. We asked them to rate whether corruption is high, low, or medium. And we have about 90% of people saying corruption in the country is very high. So that is very alarming. That is 9 out of 10 people saying corruption is high. We did not want to stop there. We wanted to know if corruption is high. Why is corruption high? Many people blame it on lack of transparency and accountability, the lack of, we talk about the prevalence of allegations, widespread, rampant allegations of corruption. And some people say corruption is a custom in Liberia. We ask people whether they paid bribes. For the 6% of the people said they paid bribes. We ask people which services are more prone to corruption. And we're interested to note that medical services top the list. People say the medical sector is most prone to corruption in the country. And in fact, when we did further analysis, further scrutiny to understand which subpopulation identified medical services as the most corrupt, females topped the list, and females said medical services are the most prone to corruption. We also asked people whether they had confidence in different stakeholders fighting corruption. And of all of the stakeholders, citizens have more confidence in the media and the religious institutions to fight corruption, followed by civil society. For the executive, and next to civil society was public integrity institutions. About 49% of people said public integrity institutions could fight corruption. But when it comes to the issue of the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature, over 60% of the people did not have confidence that these groups could fight corruption. But that's just for the quantitative results. We'll move over to the other results, which is the qualitative findings, where we studied different happenings in the country. I will look at different reports and the budget and what have you, and do some analysis. There are also interesting findings. Some of the findings point to the fact that the budget, the national budget, is a tool to facilitate corruption. We have lawmakers paying about $3.6 billion themselves in the budget directly to the pockets. We have the issue of political patronage, where you have, say, the Monrovia City Corporation getting $4.1 million United States dollars. When you have counties, all counties in the country report the money that doesn't reach the Monrovia City Corporation money. How in the world is that possible? So these are things that we're looking at in the report. And yes, different thing. What is the judiciary, the legislature not being audited since 2006. All of these different things are things that we're looking at.
Okay, so let's go one at a time. We looking at 90% of the people think that corruption is high in Liberia, 2% think that it is low, and then 8% said it's moderate. So, what were the tools that we were able to use to evaluate all of these things that the people said? Like you said, you did a quantitative and a qualitative, analysis of the survey. So let's go step step now and highlight some of the things that inform the research report.
Yes, and the research report was informed
Yes,
by
on
a
the
full
research
data gathered on the ground. But then we also processed, and I would say to be able to have the data properly gathered and not to have people's results being
have
misinterpreted or miscollected. We employ technology.
we
So we use smartphones, and there's an application on the phone called Open Data Toolkit that we are able to build the questions into. And those questions were administered for the people on the field. As they were responding, so for example, the first question you're looking at now. So, what do people think about corruption? So, if they come to Sim Zota, they will ask you, they say, Sim Zota, how would you rate the level of corruption in Liberia? A, high, B, moderate, C, low, right? So, Sim Zota now, when I say, okay, well, I'm a Liberian, I know about corruption in Liberia, I think corruption is low in the country, corruption is not very high. So, it is your opinion as a citizen that is captured
okay.
in the survey. So then
Okay.
it is captured. We'll mark that answer. Once all of the questions are answered, then it will submit to our server, our online server, and we will get it in home office. So as the data has been collected on the field, monitor on the field, and we'll see the responses. Now, but again, to be able to further analyze the data, further scrutinize the data, to run different analysis, what about county, which county is saying what, which what is the youth that are saying what. We ran analysis using statistical package for the social sciences SPSS software, and it's a software that we use to be able to really triangulate the data to get different insights as to what people are saying. So yes, it was very engaging. People, guys on the field, as kudos to the Integrity Club. It was streamed by CENTAL on different aspects of corruption, so they were able to engage citizens to gather their perspectives on the different questions that we had for them.
Great. So they talked about the health sector being rated high and being prone to corruption. So, and in your analysis, there are a lot of things that you highlighted in your analysis. Some of the things, like you talked about people who supposed to be spearheading, like in the House of Representatives, those who supposed to be making policy decisions, they themselves are found in awarding contracts or projects to themselves. So maybe can you explain further on these things that you captured in the report?
Oh yes. So if we look at public services, right, and we complain, those people, for example, the question is, why are things not working? Why are things not happening? And to be able to understand this, we proceeded to do some investigation and analysis. And we found that people who are in the legislature, the legislature has an oversight function. So that's the reason why they should not be getting money for themselves in the first place. Because if you have the oversight function, means to check on people and query them and question them, you must not be involved with taking money yourself. Because you take the money, $15,000, $30,000, nobody will ask you a question. So that's very wrong practice. So the legislature has this oversight responsibility, rather than by the constitution, to check on the executive. And to be able to exercise this oversight responsibility, the executive or the legislature have different working committees. So they have committees on health, committees on education, committees on elections, public accounts committee, all of those things, right? So if you are overseeing, if you are on a particular committee, from the Senate or the legislature. They are overseeing a particular sector. Now, one of the things we found was that people in the legislature who are overseeing particular sectors, for example, we have, say, Honorable Sir Joseph, for example. Honorable Sir Joseph is a member of the Committee on Health. So that all of the constituent agencies that make up the health sector, he oversees them. And then we found out that, well, Sir Joseph company called the first responders, an ambulance group, is getting contracts from the government in the tune of $140,000. So the question really, Sam, is if Sir Joseph is getting $140,000 from the health ministry to his company, will he have the guts, will he have the moral rectitude, as the people will say, to question the health minister if he does anything wrong? The answer is no. Aside from this, his authority to question, we look at what is even consistent with law. And we found out that was very violative of the law. That section 9.6 of the Code of Conduct says that you cannot be in a position of public service while at the same time getting involved with something that will conflict with that position. And so there's something called conflict of interest on our law, under the Code of Conduct. And this is what we see happening here with the case of St. Joseph, where he's getting contracts in the form of government entity that he's supposed to be overseeing. So what if you look at our reports of $1.5 million the Liberia medical contract that was given to a company linked to St. Joseph, you did not refute those claims. And so all of these things are very major things. So if we see that certain things are not happening, we see fake drugs on the market, and we see Honorable Sir Joseph is in deals with the Liberia Medical and Health Products Regulatory Authority, and we see him in deals with the Health Ministry as it relates to the issue of ambulances. His own private ambulance is being marketed and rented out to the Ministry of Health. And these things raise alarm because it means that he will not do his job properly. It is very violative of the law, and he should be held to account.
You also, in your analysis, you mentioned about you talked about integrity institutions are not they are poorly funded, and government officials and certain ministries and agencies are receiving more than integrity institutions. Can you further explain that portion of the analysis?
Yes, I mean, one of the reasons why we did our analysis was, for example, to be able to understand, right? Because it's possible that monies are not going certain places because there's no money in the country. That's a reality, right? So to be able to understand whether this is really the reality, then we're able to see whether there's money going anywhere in the first place. So one of the things we found was that there's actually money in the country, but there are few people who put the money. For example, if the government says that it has an agenda to fight corruption and is very committed to fighting corruption, then we are looking at how are you committed to fighting this corruption? Is it in the mouth or are you doing it in practice? And so one of the key findings that we have is the fact that integrity institutions that are on the front lines of fighting corruption, these institutions are not supported by government. And so the government is saying, well, we are fighting corruption, it's our agenda, and we are fighting it. We want to see how are you fighting this corruption. So for example, if you look at the national budget and try to just approach on what is going to different institutions, you'll soon realize that public integrity institutions are widely underfunded. For example, it will surprise you to note, I'm sure by now you'll not be surprised because you already read a report, but for our audience, I mean, to see that the speaker and the podium, just the speaker on the podium, the office of the speaker and office of the podium, these two people receive money in the budget more than many public integrity institutions. For example, if we look at the speaker money and the podium money, you add it together. If we put the public procurement and concession committee money, you take it. You put the financial intelligence unit money, you add it there. The Liberia extractive industrial transparency needs money, you add it there. It will not reach the money that the speaker and the podium. 2%. We're talking about agencies in government that have more than 60, 70 employees. That money cannot reach the podium and the speaker. The speaker on the podium money is anywhere around $3 million. 2% getting $3 million in the budget. Then these three institutions are getting just $2 million in the budget. So it tells you that there is really a problem. Three institutions, like including the Branding Corruption Commission, the monitoring, if you added there, say, it still can reach the speaker and the put money. So you have four core integrity institutions in the country that money cannot reach the office of the speaker and the office of the podium. What does it say to you? Are these people serious in fighting corruption? What does the speaker do with money so much that you can give it to the PPCs, the LCCs for corruption? What are the needs in the office of the speaker that needed? All this money, just $3 million for two persons. But not the money the whole legislature. So these are things that we are looking at, and it's very alarming. If we must fight corruption in this country, there must be realignment. There must be proper allocation of resources so that where the money is supposed to go, the money goes there.
Great, great. Okay, he's Gerald D. Yeakula. He's the program manager at the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia. So we are talking about the State of Corruption report that was recently launched by the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia. So the report talked about 90% of Liberians believe that corruption is high in the country, and there are a lot of things that informed. He said there were two portions of the report that was done. The first analysis was the qualitative analysis, and the second was a quantitative and qualitative analysis. So the both analyses were done, and different softwares were employed for them to be able to gather the data and analyze those data. And the data was analyzed, and the report was launched. So we are talking about those things that are captured in the report, and he just talked about 4 integrity institutions put together. 4 integrity institutions, LACC. That is the one that is responsible to investigate, to prosecute, and to create awareness about corruption-related issues in our country. That's LACC. Then the Financial Intelligence Unit. They are the ones supposed to oversee, money laundering, or making sure that, there are clean money in our country. They are the one who's supposed to ensure that. That's another integrity institution. The LERTR, that's Integrity Institute. So 4 institutions put together, GAC, the General Auditing Commission, put them together. Their money cannot reach 2 persons. 2 persons, the speaker and the pro temp, their money put together. They cover 4 integrity institutions. That's part of the things that were analyzed in the report. So all of these things were captured in the report. Gerald, when you speak to people about the report, they usually tell you that civil society organizations, we only bring out issues, but we don't advance suggestions. Are there recommendations that the report capture so that we can tell our audience? Do we have recommendations that, with all of these things that we highlighted, do we have recommendations to mitigate these things?
In fact, as one of the reasons why we do this report is because we want to find evidence. So we are doing evidence-based advocacy. We're not just a handbag organization that just go issue press release, press statement, that's call journalists and issue statements. For us, we want to go on the ground and see what is happening on the ground, to be able to understand what our people are saying, to understand what the issues are, and that's how we came up with this report. And as an anti-corruption watchdog, we also are in the position to recommend the government several things. And this and even people who have the ability or the power to be able to make some of this come true is also to us. So there are several things we recommend. For example, we see the code of conduct. Some of the reasons why we have many things happening. The code of conduct that governs how public officials should be operating, so how they should work and conduct themselves. The reason why the code of conduct is not active is because we ourselves are hurting the code of conduct. But there's a very major challenge. The code of conduct says there should be a particular office to manage the code of conduct, called the Office of the Ombudsman. Since the Code of Conduct was passed in 2014, there has been no establishment of this Ombudsman office. And so because of that, anybody can file the Code of Conduct at any time, and there will be nobody to hold them accountable. So we are saying that this Code of Conduct, the Ombudsman, should be appointed, so that he will know and say, okay, the person using the campaign card, the government card, the wrong campaign. So you will say the person has already resigned for election, the person didn't resign. So you will say the person is doing conflict of interest, and that's what we do, engaging in conflict of interest. The ombudsman will be able to do that. So for proper, we already done the very good thing to pass the law. We must go a step further and have this law enforced. The enforcement of the law will rely very primarily on the appointment of the ombudsman. We are also saying that there must be, internal mechanisms strengthened in public institutions. For example, at the Liberia National Police, there is a professional standard division that looks at police conduct. At the ARA, they have professional ethics division that look at employee conduct, and they have a fiscal investigation division that looks at how companies and other people are complying with tax requirements. So these are very good things, and we want that these should be established not only in those institutions, but all public institutions will be having a particular unit that looks at corruption issues. It's usually left with, when you bring a complaint, you carry it to the minister or to the director. Will be a particular anti-corruption unit in all public institutions so that citizens, you go with a passport and somebody is doing corruption, or you with a passport, you got them bribe and extorting money, you go to that department and you lay complaint. And you don't have to go to local minister who you don't have any type of say. Right? We are also talking about, well, the president also said in the Purple Agenda for Prosperity and Development, I said, well, there's a need to establish a fast track court. So we don't have corruption cases being a talker with murder cases and theft cases, and then we cannot see corruption cases coming, because the whole court system, the court dockets are overcrowded. So we need to have a dedicated court in this court that looks at different issues, so that we have a fast track process to deal with corruption cases. So we are saying too that the government should build people's trust, show participation. The government cannot be operating in isolation. The people must be involved in the budget process, in the lawmaking processes, and public hearings that be involved with people. Look at public integrity institutions, for example. We say that there are vacancies. For example, at the NSCC, out of 5 commissioners, we have only 3 commissioners. We need the 5 people to be. So if you say corruption is your main area, you are fighting corruption, you should be able to invest in it. So we need all public integrity institutions that do not have people installed in all of the leadership positions. We need to have those vacancies filled now. And there are many other things we are recommending, whether it is establishment of e-procurement, so that procurement process will not have face-to-face interaction with vendors and public entities, or is investing in digital platforms. So if you were to apply for a passport now, you were to go use the Ministry of Foreign Affairs portal, they will tell you, say, oh, you come for interview in October, right? We apply now, they come for interview in March. That's not the kind of data platform we're talking about. I'm talking about a platform that is responsive and effective. Because the more we have, computer, we make use of computer, you're not going to have opportunity to be asking the computer. Nobody going to ask the computer for that. So once you send your email to the computer, you get your. So, but the reason why we're not investing in it because we are also supporting corruption, and so we are fighting technology. So we are saying the government should be able to invest more in these kinds of engagements that we reduce face-to-face interactions and encourage your technology. There are many things we're talking about. We talk about having the legislature audited. The legislature has not been audited since 2006. We need the legislature to be audited. And in the judiciary, for example, we need a dedicated body that will vet judges, so that the president will not be appointing judges who are not independent. We need independent judiciary is a very important part of this part. We need the judiciary to be able to be independent, for the judicial independence will be assured. There has to be a process by which judges are vetted.
That's sure. All right, so he's Gerald D. Yeakula. He's our guest on the program Integrity Watch, and like we said, it's a 1-hour program brought to you by the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia. Thanks to the government and people of Sweden for the support. And we now open the lines so you can participate on the program. The numbers call to be live on this program. If you have comments to make, you have suggestions, we encourage suggestions and comments on the number 07701075162 or 0886474563. Those are the numbers to call to be live on the program Integrity Watch. Like we said, we have as our guest the program manager of the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia, Mr. Gerald D. Yeakula. He's our guest, and we're talking about the State of Corruption report that was recently launched by the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia. And the report covered a lot of issues, and there were recommendations that were advanced by the report, asking for integrity institutions to be, to be funded to make sure that vacancies that institutions are running without heads. So the heads of the institutions, they are not in place. They are not fully constituted. Like the LACC should have number of persons that are supposed to be there. They are not in place, and all of that. And the recommendations are many. So the advancing these recommendations, they did not just talk about issues, but they also advance recommendations to the government to mitigate these problems. So the numbers again to call to be live on the program 07701 75162. And if you are viewing us live on our Integrity TV page, the numbers are there. You can pick up the number and call 07701. If you're on WhatsApp, you can call that number and you'll be live on the program in Targeted Watch. So, like we said, we're having Gerald D. Yeakula as our guest on the program this morning, and we're talking about the State of Corruption report that was recently launched by the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia, CENTAL. The numbers again 0886 474563, 07701 Those are the numbers. It's a 1-hour radio program brought to you by the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia. It is aired every Wednesday on Truth 96.1 FM. And it is a primary radio-based communication information system. We have our first caller on the line. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Your name and where are you calling from?
I'm Dr. Abraham Williams. I'm calling from Banjo.
Mr. Williams, let's hear you.
Okay, good. Yeah, well, I think you're doing a very good job at the CENTAL. And because the issue of corruption is very, very serious. An issue here and all over Africa. And I think I agree with you that sometimes, some of these integrity and anti-graft institutions are just put there like a white elephant. And, just like to say, okay, to, I would say, satisfy the international community, and stakeholders that way will put these institutions in place, the structures are there. But they are not well funded, they are not well structured, and those kinds of things. So if government is really serious about fighting corruption, these institutions, especially those ones that are related to government, need to be really well funded. That's one. Number two, like one of the recommendations you were saying, I think I have also preferred some of those kinds of recommendations in my writings. That you cannot, for example, say you having these people as independent groups like the judiciary, and it's the president solely that appoints the judges, for example, okay, or the chief justice. I think that's an anomaly because you wouldn't have the president appoint somebody that is averse to him. Sure. Even if the person is qualified, the person is capable and whatever, he would definitely appoint somebody that is at par with him. Okay. So what I think you have some of these institutions that really border on these kinds of professions, like the bar institution, for example, the bar institution should be able to nominate people have specific criteria them already.
Okay.
So among this set of people, then the president can now choose from among them. Not just choosing from anybody around. You can have somebody who is very well qualified, sophisticated, but he's very corrupt too, or can compromise, So I think some of those things need to be put into place.
Thank you so much, Mr. Williams. Thank you. Your points are well noted. So, Gerald, you heard Mr. Williams. Also, you talk in your report. You talk about 66% of the people think that government is not committed to the fight against corruption. 66%. Can you explain that further? Why are they thinking that government is not committed to the fight against corruption?
Yeah, we asked people about government's commitment to the fight against corruption. That was something we're interested in knowing because the government itself as is committed. So we also want to know from citizens whether they thought the government was committed in fighting corruption. And we're just doing that 2 out of 3 Liberians said the government was not committed in fighting corruption. And we'll even look at it from the county level. We'll see that for those who thought government was committed, in Bongo, only 17% of the people who talk to us said government was committed in fighting corruption. In bombing, 19% of the people said government was committed. In Montserrat, only 20% of the people said government was committed in fighting corruption. In Grand Baza, 21%. So is that the government is committed or not committed, or I don't know what the government is committed. So we also have people to have the space to say, well, I don't want to vote on this issue. So if you don't want to vote on that issue or they don't want to provide an opinion, you say you don't know. So we have 24% saying government was committed on the overall, and 66% saying government, is not committed. So it's the majority of the people weighing in the government is not committed. But there's a bigger side of this. The bigger side of it is not just about the numbers. It's about how we can use this data to be able to inform our decisions going forward. So we see people saying that the government is not committed in fighting corruption. It's not just about saying, and defending ourselves and saying, but it's about how can we make sure by the time this report comes up next year, there's a change. And for us at CENTAL, we'll be very happy. We'll see a movement towards, the better, that people can say, we can have these numbers and increasing. To say more people are saying government is committed, less people are saying the corruption is high. Less people are saying, that corruption is a problem in Liberia. So we think there's a good side to this, a lot of good side that we think that should come up, that this report should be used to be able to correct the wrongs so that we can make this country a better place.
Thank you. The numbers to call to be live on the program: 077-01-75162, 0886-474563, 077-01-75162, 0886-474563. Those are the numbers to call to be live on the program. Integrity Watch. And Integrity Watch is a 1-hour radio program brought to you by the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia. We have another caller on this one. Good morning. Your name and where are you calling from?
I'm Nicholas Parker. I do come from Liberia.
Mr. Parker, let's hear you.
I appreciate it, but what you're saying, it is true. For the beginning of the era of Liberia, who have noticed that corruption for all government has been there. But for now, what we should do with the citizens of the nation, we should not only depend on the government. Let us depend on each other in the home, in the churches, in the malls, for us to fight the disease. So thank you for your output. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Parker. Your points are well noted. 0886-474563, 077-01-75162. Those are the numbers to call to be live on the program. Integrity Watch is a 1-hour radio program brought to you by the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia. We have another caller on this one. Good morning. Good morning. Sorry. 077-01-75162, 0886-474563. Those are the numbers to call to be live on the program Integrity Watch. And thanks to the government and people who are tweeting, we're talking about the State of Corruption report that was recently launched by the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia. And it captured a lot of areas that questions that were answered by the respondents. And like we said, Gerald was just talking about this, 66% of the respondents said corruption was high, 24%, not corruption was high, but government was not committed to the fight against corruption. And 24% said government was somewhat committed to the fight against corruption. So we've been talking, and then the report did not just capture all of these things, but the advanced recommendations that the government would think the government can use and other can inform decision or policy decisions going forward. So the numbers to call, we have few more minutes to go. The numbers to call to be live on the program: 077-01-75162, 0886-474563. Those are the numbers to call to be live on the program Integrity Watch is a 1 hour radio program brought to you by the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia. It is aired every Wednesday on Truth 96.1 FM. And let's go back to Gerald. Gerald, you listen to the callers, they've commended CENTAL for the report, and Papa said yes, corruption has been like the day that we filed. Everyone of us said the issue about corruption and the points that were recommendations that were made, they are very valid, and especially the appointment of judges by the president. I think he is talking about concurring with the report, the recommendation that there should be a specialized committee to vet judges.
Yes, and I want to thank them for that feedback. We rely on the public very heavily for our information. And we work for the public. So when we have these kinds of feedback from the public that tend to support what we are saying, we really are excited about it. But again, as we wrap up, it will be to say that, well, let's work together to fight corruption. Corruption is everybody's business. It's not only about the government; it's about the schools. How can we work it to ensure that corruption does not exist in the schools? How can we make sure that corruption is not in the banks, in the churches, in the mosques? It's a very Herculean task. And as we release the report, it's mostly focused on public sector corruption. So one of the concerns we've been getting has been how can we expand the report to cover, say, NGO corruption, and the corruption in civil society, corruption in the church, of these things, so we can share lives in different areas. And I think going forward, we're going to be committed to ensuring that we can draw different, analysis in these regards to be able to shed light on corruption in Liberia.
That's the voice of Gerald D. Yeakula. He's the program manager at the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia. He has been our guest today on the program Integrity Watch. My name is Sam Zota. I'm the Media and Communications Officer at the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia. My colleagues Mark Mbonao and Gerald T. Wendy, they've been behind the camera making sure our visibility goes beyond this studio. Join us next week, Wednesday, for another edition of this program. Better still, Saturday is a repeat from 6 to 7 p.m. Join us if you can. Bye-bye.